Hello, everybody, and today I'm reviewing Ted, episode 3, called Inject Dysfunction. So, we're going to be talking about some very adult things in this episode. So, basically, John and Ted are picked up by Belair, and they just saw Jurassic Park, and they're saying how great it is, and they think dinosaurs were actually in the movie, like real ones, and then Belair's like, no, there weren't. And they're just saying, you got no proof. But anyway, by the way, hot take, I'm not a big Jurassic Park fan. Of the Jurassic Park World movies. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I need to rewatch them. But anyway, John asks to go to the video store, but Blair's like, you just saw a movie. But then John's like, but I want to see more movies. And so she agrees to take them. But once they get to the video store, they want to go to the adult section where they hide all the, I'm not going to say this word, but I'll just call it adult film. So they want to watch an adult film, but they're not allowed because they're not 18 and they don't have any IDs. And Ted tries to go in there, but the guy ain't falling for it. He's like, you're 8 years old. You were born in the 80s. So that's wild. I guess it's weird how Ted's voice was squeaky when he was first brought to life, and now, even in the 90s, only 8 years later, he has the voice we know him as today. I guess he hit puberty hard, if that's how it works for teddy bears. But anyway, they try to convince Belair to go in there, and she's like, all right. She said she wasn't gonna get them, but instead, once they get home, they put on what is actually an adult. It's not like an inappropriate movie. It's actually just a movie that's just made for adults. It's super boring for them. It's actually a movie in real life. I looked it up. It came out in the 50s. And we also get this flashback, like this not really flashback, like imagination scene where John and Ted are like these British guys in a restaurant. And then their waiter is willing to give them their adult film, and it's meant to be funny. And Johnny goes a little too deep with this, and then Ted's like, "You're going way too far, pal." But once they watch this, they decide to plan when to watch this adult film. So the parents, Susan and Maddie, are actually gonna go to a restaurant, and Belair's doing college stuff. We did get a joke about that earlier. But while they're doing all that, Ted and John are going to go to get a fake ID and sneak into the store. I don't know why I said school. But they first get an ID from one of their classmates, and they have to pay $50 for it, for a fake ID. And Ted gets a ID of Bob Ross for some reason. Like, I don't know how he got that. The student got that. But anyway, they go to the video store at the middle of the night. Well, in the middle, yeah. And they end up picking out they're trying to go in, but they realize there's a new guy at the desk who takes over the evening shifts, and he spots them, and he's like, you're not allowed to go in there. You're not 18. But they show their IDs. And somehow this guy falls for Ted being Bob Ross for some reason. It's wild. I don't know. Is this guy like kind of dumb? Like he obviously could tell that Ted is not Bob Ross for some reason. But anyway, they go into the adult section and pick out a few adult films, and he says, "Wow, you guys are you really get in on it." And then they end up going home. They put in a movie called General Hospital. And yeah, it's a pretty graphic, but Ted and Johnny end up having the movie get stuck, and they try to get it out, but it's stuck in there. Because their VHS player is old and they can't press the button for it. So they decide they have to destroy the VHS. So instead they're gonna go to the high school, and that's what they do. They go to the high school dressed up in basketball uniforms. I like Ted's basketball shirt. They should make like a plush of that. Looks cool. But they end up going to the school so they can find their VCR, the school's VCR. And so what their plan is, they're going to smash the VCR, get the tape out, and so their parents won't find it. But while at the restaurant, Maddie and Susan end up having a little quarrel with the waiter there, who ends up quitting his job. And the two end up taking a box of shrimps home. But Maddie goes to bed, and Susan ends up accidentally watching the film, and she's disturbed by it. And somehow she's able to, but here's a plot twist. After Ted and John get home from school, because they assumed they were at school because of the basketball game, and Ted actually went out and played basketball in this episode. We didn't see it, but it was funny. But they end up going home, sneaking in, but they realize the film is gone once they smash the VCR. And I don't know how Susan was able to get it out, but the next day, Susan regrets what she did. The next morning, she hides the film, and she goes to church, a Catholic church, and she confesses her sin to the pastor. I don't know how the words work for Catholicism, but the pastor tells her that it's all good or something, as long as they didn't go too far. But Susan doesn't realize it was John's. She thinks it's her husband's, but she ends up trying to ask him about it, but he has no clue what she's talking about. But she ends up going to Blair, and she's suspecting what's going on because you get the point. But Ted and John end up running away because they're worried if they get caught, and then their parents will never love them or something, and they end up saying goodbye to all their stuff, and they end up hiding in the woods playing the harmonica until they're found by Belair. And what Belair did, she actually confessed she lied and said the film was hers, and she didn't want to have John get in trouble, I guess. So she's, I guess, helping them, John and Ted. She ends up finding them in the woods. She says, "You guys are free." And they end up saying their lives aren't over, and then they end up all walking home, and we get a little narration from Ian McKellen. Yeah, it's weird. Like we find out the guest narrator was Ian McKellen. I think I mentioned that earlier in my first review. Apparently, we got both X-Men actors narrating this. Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. Charles Xavier and Magneto. So this episode was wild. I think it was a lot better than the last episode, for sure. The next episode is the Halloween episode, which I'm excited to talk about next week. But I'll probably give this episode an 8 out of 10. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't too long, but even though it was 30 minutes. Some people say the show's too long, but I don't mind it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next